Trump has announced this Pfizer deal, lowering. He's saying we're lowering drug prices, and he's got his website, Trump RX website, and everyone's happy and celebrating this opportunity for lower drug prices. But guess what? It involves Pfizer, Alfred Borda specifically, making this, as it says in this deal, the deal halfway down this, it says the deal includes Pfizer's $70 billion investment in U.S. manufacturing and the launch of the government-operated Trump RX website in early 2026. And then it goes on to having the discounts. And at the bottom, and this is nice little touch at the end, saying that they're, despite the criticisms from vaccine skeptics over all the praise. And if you guys want to see the praise up close, well, here's the room in which it happened, and there was a lot of smiles and a lot of high fives. Not everybody was smiling, but we'll get to that. We'll get to that in a second. But here we go. Here's the announcement.
Where are the other companies other than Pfizer? Are you expecting them to come
later? They're all with us, and I was honored to have Albert be the first. He's done a fantastic job with, as you know, with the COVID. He did a fantastic job with a lot of things. He's a leader, and Pfizer is right at the top. You know, it's there. Eli Lilly has been fantastic also, your friend, my friend. And they're all coming in over the next week. We're making deals with all of them. And
Yeah, so there he is saying, Albert Borda, that this is enemy number one of COVID. Enemy number one who put out this experimental jab intentionally hurting people and has not had to account for it. Here he gets up to the podium himself. Here's Albert Borda himself, and there as he's called by Trump a friend. And there you got RFK Jr. We're going to get to him in a second, but here's Albert Borda out of his own mouth.
We are ready to invest, as the president also mentioned, $70 billion in the next few years from Pfizer in manufacturing and research in America alone. I really think this is an historical moment because also I can put that behind us and focus on the things that I want to spend my time, cancer treatments, to bring better obesity medicines, to bring better vaccines, to bring things that people value. And thank you for allowing us to do that. I want to thank Secretary Kennedy. I want to thank Secretary Latnick. Your leadership helped us to pull that together. You are the mastermind of everything, and without the brilliant way that you designed the whole thing, we wouldn't be able to make it happen. But you were even more brilliant because you had someone in your team that he was the driving force behind everything. And I don't have words to thank you for your integrity. And it is what you have said. We created trust from day one. And that was the most important thing that allowed us to be able to pull very difficult negotiations. Of course, also I want to thank the US trade representative, who is also heavily engaged, and he's probably the first trade representative that I have seen that cares about our industry and cares to do something about unfair situations out there, but more than anyone else. Mr. President, I want to thank you,
thank you very much
for your leadership and, frankly, for your friendship. Thank you.
Albert, thank you very much. Great job. Great job.
All right, before I get your reaction, Jay, here's a few reactions from some other MAHAs that we know. Patriotic Blonde. Today was Trump's worst day yet. First Epstein, then Bill Gates, the Israel first. Now he's openly praising Pfizer, despite the millions he knows have been harmed by the jab. It's like he's literally laughing in the faces of those who fought for him and supported him, who lost family, lost friends, lost clients and careers, but backed him despite everything it cost us because we truly believed he wanted to make America great again. What a sad, sad day. What a sellout. And here's Dr. Simon Godek. Before the election, we'll release the Epstein files. After the election, they protect the pedophiles. Before the election, we'll end the wars. After the election, they fund genocide. Before the election, we'll go after COVID crimes. And after the election, they hand $70 billion to Pfizer. I can't stomach it anymore. This administration is a disgrace. Jay Scott, how are you feeling about all? Where are you right now after all this?
So first, I just want to add a little context here for any viewers who've never, heard me speak before. There are very few people that were as passionate about the RFK campaign when he was running for president as I was. Yet as soon as he dropped the independent campaign and endorsed Trump, I said from the start, this is a waste of time. There's no way I'm getting on board with this. And I literally shot an entire music video to support Kennedy, like the week he dropped out. So when I tell you this stung, man, oh man, did it sting. And I knew from the start it was going to be a complete waste of time, because the entire strategy of the Republican Party is deregulate, and then the benefits will trickle down to the rest of us and everyone will be rich. That's what, you know, the Republican solution is to solving every problem in the economy. And you can't deregulate your way out of the pharmaceutical issues that we have in this country. And as far as this latest announcement goes, I mean, it's not surprising to me, because following the money told me that this was going to happen long before the election, knowing how much problems the centralization of power in the Democratic and Republican parties contribute to this problem. This was easily predictable if you actually understand how the system works. So in terms of the announcement itself, you know, I think MAHA is to the Republican Party what Medicare for All is to the Democrat Party. When they're out of power, yeah, we're going to do it. We're going to clean up the food supply. We're going to get the country healthy. Everyone's going to be fit. We're going to get rid of GMOs. We're going to stop Pfizer. And then when they get in power, well, you know, maybe we can work with them, and, you know, maybe they're not so bad. And if we just change a few little things here and there, or at least put out an announcement that we roll back in the next few days, but you don't hear about the rollback, then, you know, people will be happy. So it's literally the exact same playbook we see from Democrats for Medicare for All that we're seeing now from Republicans with MAHA. Like, they've attached themselves to something that's popular. They're selling dreams. And if you just follow the money, all of this is easily predictable. So looking at Kennedy's face there, you know, he didn't seem, I don't know, he didn't seem to smile that much, you know, like, and it's just so crazy to me that we're in a situation right now where Albert Bourla is on stage thanking RF Kennedy for his support, you know, in getting these government contracts after RFK essentially spent a year accusing this guy of crimes against humanity. And all of a sudden, he has nothing else to say about these crimes against humanity that he built his entire campaign on. So, you know, I think at this point, we have to assume that we're never actually going to get any real change from the Democrat and Republican parties. So do with that information what you will, whether, you know, you think you should check out the system, you know, entirely, whether you think, you know, you need to revolt or join a third party. Me personally, I think third party and a peaceful way is the way to go. And I think the decentralization offered by We the People, WTPnational.com, is the best place to start. But again, you know, this is just a symptom of the problem we have of centralization in power. So it's not surprising. It's extremely disappointing, though, to see it in action, just because of everything Robert Kennedy, you know, has done with his life, said during his campaign, and what he represented. So it's hard to believe it's the same person, you know, that we saw during the campaign, to be honest with you.
Yeah. Well, here's that shot. A close up. If you guys missed that, there's his face as Trump's talking.
It's easier to be corrupt if you're ignorant, but if you know better, you're probably going to feel at least a little guilty. So I would guess, you know, RFK probably feels at least a little bit guilty, because he's a highly intelligent person. He knows what's really going on, yet he's either being blackmailed, threatened, or bribed. Take your pick. You know, I don't think it matters in terms of us as voters. You know, we just have to assume that nothing he said before he was elected actually applies in the actions that he's going to be taking. He may still say some pretty words and do some great press conferences, but so far it feels like all of the money is still going towards the same projects, even if they're changing the label a little bit. Now they're trying to say, oh no, it's not mRNA technology, it's just self-replicating RNA technology. So it's the same thing. So I don't know. I'm frustrated. I'm disappointed. I just want clean food, man. I want clean food, no plastics in the environment. Is that too much to ask for? That's what Kennedy said he was going to do, and we're not seeing anything like that. We're going in the opposite direction, and it's scary because listen, man, just a side note, when I go into the supermarket, it is depressing. Like, it is truly depressing. Our food should have so much more nutrients in it, like, than it has. We shouldn't have to deal with all these pesticides. RFK raised all of these issues during the campaign, and now he's in office. What do we see? More money to the same bad actors, no progress on controlling the poison in the environment, and it's just same situation. Progress as usual. The establishment's still getting its way, and I can't be more disappointed, to be honest with you.
Sure.
And yeah, I didn't buy into it. I guess I feel a little bit bad for people who thought that Trump meant some of the things he was saying and couldn't see through it. I just encourage everyone to learn the lesson. If you're not following the money, you have not learned the lesson. And the money in the Democratic and Republican parties go to the exact same place. Learn the lesson, guys. There is no lesser of two evils. It's the same damn evil.
Yeah. Well, let's look a little closer at RFK Jr. because he's got that scowl on his face. We have talked about, and you're right to bring up the blackmail stuff, and what is he allowed to do, not allowed to do? Is he forced to be standing here right now and pretend?
I would guess he's being threatened. I would hope that it's being threatened and not blackmail, and he's not that bad that they haven't blackmailed over something. But you don't know. There's no way for us to know.
I think this situation is much worse. I think it's a good analogy to bring up our Medicare for All fight. But this is a much worse situation. Number one, because MAHAs are louder and more angry than a lot of us were allowed to be when we called the squad when we called the fraud squad, we were called right-wing extremists. So when MAHA calls RFK Jr. a fraud, they're not called anything by the left. The left doesn't even, they have their heads so far in the sand, they don't even know this is happening on the right, in the MAHA. They don't even know. So we had to, when we were trying to stand up to Bernie and AOC, like you said, we figured out the game plan. It was yell and scream about it when you don't have power, and then blame it on the Republicans. By the way, Trump and RFK, they're not blaming anything on the Democrats. They're just doing it. They're not even coming up with an excuse. And that's why this is much worse, Jay, because the hold that Israel has over these people, it's so bad that they don't even let them come up with a good way to present it and sell it. They don't. And this is how I know, because all you got to do is go back to this and you can see it right for yourself. Here it is. This is RFK, January 23, talking to us about Pfizer. Pfizer is a craven, venal, homicidal, morally bankrupt criminal enterprise that has captured and corrupted its regulators. Is he just mouthing off, or is that based on data? That's based on data. That's based on assessing the situation, seeing Albert Bourla himself parading around on mainstream media, telling us that his product was 100% effective. 100%. He told us that. And that was a lie. And Pfizer never tested for whether it could be transmitted or any of that. It didn't. They admitted they never tested it. And he went around and paraded around knowing that. Then his own company tried to hide the data of the side effects for 75 years. All of this is known. Everybody knows this. So to see RFK Jr. having to stand there like that, this tweet went out. Now this part's important because there's a smile on this part of it, and I know this isn't an actual shot from that press conference, but it wasn't just him scowling behind Trump. He also had to come up and talk. And when he came up to talk, he had to congratulate everyone too and say Trump is amazing and everything's great and we love this deal and it's really, really cool. And according to Nightwatch NA, if you ever needed any more proof that RFK Jr. was a total sellout, this is what he said up on that podium, that same podium. That's Bourla, really created a template for corporate responsibility, for putting public health ahead of his individual interests. He said this. This is insane.
Yeah. And the craziest part about it is it's not even like there's an acknowledgement that, hey, before I was in office, I had this opinion of Albert Bourla and Pfizer. However, I would like to go back and address why I was wrong back then. And then here's the new information that has caused me to change my opinion on Pfizer and Albert Bourla. There's none of that. It's just you pretend that nothing you said before still is relevant, and you just pretend that this is a good guy who means well despite everything you know about him. I mean, in my opinion, it's sad. It's sad, and it couldn't be more disappointing. The one place I disagree with you though is I think I wouldn't blame this all on Israel. They're a part of it, but they're not the top boss. But anyway, we'll get to that another time.
It's hard to know how many people are to blame here, but the fact of the matter is there's no way to maneuver through this. This is obviously sellout behavior. It's disgraceful. It's embarrassing. And then here's an off the cuff moment. This one was making the rounds this morning or yesterday, and we picked it up. This is a off the cuff moment because what happened? RFK Jr. sneezed. So I don't know if you guys saw the sneeze, but we can start referring to this incident as the sneeze, because it's not the sneeze itself, it's what was said after and what was not said. Of course, we could have, if we were there, or if an honest player was there, they could have responded in a much more honest way. But look what happens when the sneeze happens. This is the most. If you have you seen this, Jay? Have you seen this? The
I don't
sneeze?
think so.
Okay, brace yourself. You're not gonna. And again, this is off the cuff because that was obviously the sneeze is not in a script. So let's see how these people behave in a moment of an interruption. Like we've all had a sneeze happen, and we've had to say, kazoo tight or God bless you, whatever. Brace yourself, Jay. Here we go.
But insulin was, people weren't taking it, I would imagine. They couldn't take it. God bless you, Bobby. I hope I didn't catch COVID just there.
Mr. President.
Have you have Paxlovid? He's got Paxlovid.
Mr. President.
Give me a Paxlovid immediately.
Mr. President, you can.
While Nancy Pelosi is
this is it. This is literally case closed on MAHA. That's it. Nail in the coffin. Final nail in the coffin. There's no way around it. That was not a mock of the thing that we know. We know Paxlovid has killed people. We know that you can't get that the whole COVID thing about getting COVID because you're not up to date on your shots. Everything about that moment shows us that the movement is over. Jay, is there anything left that we can squeeze out of this thing? It seems like dead in the water.
I think the benefit and the positivity from MAHA is the mindset of the people that were involved in it. I still think it's an important issue that we have to talk about, but as far as us actually believing that we have an administration that's friendly towards our goals in MAHA, I think that's dead in the water. I think anyone who's still holding on to that, is going to be greatly disappointed, and they're going to find themselves making excuse after excuse, about why nothing has happened, despite Trump having the power that he has right now. And, one thing that really jumped out at me just to drive this point home, I meant to mention this before. Albert Bourla mentioned obesity as one of the diseases that he is developing drugs to try to fight. That seems to me like the most classic case of an ailment that does not need a drug to correct. Because if you want to fight obesity, the key to doing that is to consuming less calories than you expend each day. This isn't like a difficult thing to understand. Now, it's challenging to implement, but you don't need medication to fix obesity. And I understand different people have different metabolisms. I agree with all that. I'm not saying that it's easy for everybody to solve, but if you think that there's a drug for literally every problem in the world and that your lifestyle is not the first place you should look, then like you're a sucker. Like I don't know how else to say it. You are a sucker. Like, yes, medicine has improved outcomes and it's very good at treating short-term acute stuff that we have going on. But these chronic diseases, it's just cash cows for these pharmaceutical companies. And most of the time, there are lifestyle changes that we can make to either improve the symptoms or get rid of it entirely. So, like, I mean, I can't stress this enough, guys. Like, the pharmaceutical companies want people to stay sick. If you get healed, you're no longer going to be a customer. And that's why we have the same people who own the food companies also owning the pharmaceutical companies. At some point, we have to wake up. Like, like more capitalism isn't going to solve this problem. More deregulation isn't going to solve this problem. Going to the WHO and centralizing control with people who don't care about us is also not going to solve this problem. Deregulation will not get us healthy. So that's the only thing we're going to get from Republicans. Deregulation, less taxes. Oh, yeah. But the guy who hates socialism, he has no problem with the US federal government taking a stake in private companies. When was the last time we did that before Trump? You know, Trump just bought 10% of Intel, right? This is the guy who is against big government, who is now buying shares in privately owned companies, like extremely influential ones. How is anyone still pretending that this man has any like ideals that he lives by? He's not a capitalist. He's not a communist. He's pro-establishment. He's part of the deep state. Wake up, guys, wake up.
This is the new mug shot, or I guess you could say this is like the gangster shot, right? This is like the pharma mafia. And you know, you can send this around to your you know, liberal friends and tell them, they'll all your vote blue no matter who's. Don't worry, guys. You got your friend Albert Borda standing with, like, look at that. I know our RFK Jr. looks like he's having a really shitty time there, but still, these guys got your back, man. They got all the drugs you want. They're not taking them away. You get as many RMNA shots that you want, whatever the hell you want, whatever gene therapy you want. Don't worry. You'll get it. Don't worry. It's not going anywhere. You got it.
Hold on. I mean, Trump said he was in favor of drone striking drug dealers. Isn't that what he said? Or like hitting drug dealers with missiles? Does that apply to all drug dealers, do you think?
No, that only applies to brown-skinned people in Venezuela.
Okay, yeah. Because they're the biggest drug capital of the world. It's not Mexico, it's not Colombia, it's Venezuela. That's where all the drugs are coming from. I was just double checking there.
Yeah, well, they have a drug dealer for a you know, a president that's not even official. So, you know, he's a unofficial president drug dealer.
Well, Juan Guaido is the real president, right? You know, he's just an imposter. Let's give Guaido his credit.
Okay, let me take a moment to introduce you to our good friends over at World Harvest Food Bank right here in LA. World Harvest has been serving families across Los Angeles for 18 years now, and they started with this simple idea. Everyone deserves access to healthy, affordable food no matter what they're going through. With their Cart with a Heart program, families can walk away with a full cart of groceries, fresh produce, dairy, meat, and pantry supplies for just a $50 contribution. That's for the entire cart. That same cart would cost over $300 at a typical grocery store. At World Harvest, everyone is welcome. They don't ask for income verification, ID, or any paperwork. No. Basically, their doors are open to anyone who's doing their best, but just needs a little extra push to get by. If you're an Angelino like me, you know the times have been tough here. First with all the union strikes, the LA fires, and now the ICE raids going on. It seems like we're living in a constant state of uncertainty. And that's why it's so important to support local charities like World Harvest, because they aren't just helping the community. They're an essential function in its very survival. World Harvest is located at Venice and Arlington. And right now, you can use our special discount code THL20 for 20% off your contribution amount at checkout. And if you're not in the LA area, you can still help out with a $50 donation, which will provide a full cart of food for a family by going to worldharvestfoodbank.org or scan the QR code for more info. Or you can just spread the word. Follow them online. Let people know they're here for them, because at the end of the day, It's about providing choice, access, and relief without barriers. World Harvest Food Bank. End hunger now.